The dust is beginning to settle on the 2023 NFL Draft. That means your rookie drafts are right around the corner. We are here to help you out on another episode of the Fantasy Football Fellas podcast. Welcome in. My name is Lucas Wenzel, and as always, my goodness, I am joined by my two fellow co-hosts, Cameron Lawrence and Tyler Plath. We will be going head to head in a rookie SuperFlex mock draft on today's episode. Fellas, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are we?
Always a 10. I mean, anytime you can mock draft, it's at least a 10.
Oh, and it's 11 for me because not only do I get to mock draft, but I get to absolutely dominate against you guys. So
that's a funny illusion you're under, because last time I checked, I won. According to our polls on the socials, I won the mock draft. We'll leave it to the people at the end to see what their thoughts are. But we'll be breaking down tons of rookies, 36 different rookies for you today. We will be doing a 3-round mock draft for you all. Some of these might just be flyers by the end of it, but we're looking forward to giving you our thoughts on all of the new rookie landing spots and how it impacts the dynasty landscape from a super flex perspective. Fellas, I don't want to keep the people waiting. Should we dive on in?
Oh, yes.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, we are back. We didn't even take that long of a break, but now you just see the fancy. If you're on YouTube, you just saw some fancy camera work that we did here. So for those of you who are watching over on YouTube, I feel like I have to explain this quickly. We will have 12 picks to each of us. I will possess teams 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, we won't go in that order. So the picks above my head will actually be the picks that I make. Same for Cameron, same for Tyler as well. We're trying out a new format here, so bear with us. Maybe this will work out really well. Maybe this just looks sloppy, and you can be like, guys, never do this again. This just looks stupid. And you can leave that in the comments of our YouTube section. That's fine. We're open to all feedback. But this again is a rookie super flex mock draft. Only rookies. You will get to hear our thoughts on each and every player. So we're just gonna go in the order of left to right, because that makes the most sense. So I will have the first pick. Cameron will have the second pick. Tyler will have the third pick. Again, super flex. So there is an emphasis on quarterback here, which should throw a unique twist into how this first round goes, especially. So I will kick things off here with the 101 in our rookie mock draft. I select Bijan Robinson. Now this is like, I've had to go. I'm not gonna lie, I've had to go back and forth on this a little bit. I really like Anthony Richardson, you guys. I love the landing spot at Indy. I love him with Shane Steichen. I love that he has Michael Pittman. I love that they went out and got safety blanket Josh Downs underneath. I love everything Indianapolis did in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take him ahead of Bijan Robinson, though. I just can't. We're talking generational running back prospect, the best one we've seen since Saquon Barkley. Lands with the Atlanta Falcons, who ran the ball the most times on a per game basis in the NFL last year, 32.88 times per game. When Desmond Ridder was at quarterback, they ran the ball 36 times per game. Tyler and I talked about it on our winners and losers in fantasy post NFL draft episode earlier this week. This is probably, even if it's a 60-40 timeshare with Bijan and Tyler Algier, you're talking 17 carries per game for Bijan. That's enough to make him, a top 10 running back in fantasy football this year. Arthur Smith is going to run the brakes off of him. It's tough. I understand how important the quarterback position is in Superflex. If you're a quarterback needy team, I get wanting to swing for the fences on Anthony Richardson or going Bryce Young here, but with no basis of team in mind for any of us, like Bijan Robinson is at the top of my rookie rank still.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And I think if I'm at the 102 or at the 101 and I want a quarterback, I should trade back, because Bijan is the only player I think truly worth the 101 right now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, talent needs to be taken ahead of situation, and the situation in this context is super flex. Bijan is going to be miles ahead of Anthony Richardson in terms of fantasy success, at least for this year. Bijan's the 101, and Kim, you had a good point. If you are the 101 and you need a quarterback, trade back, get some assets, and you'll still land a quarterback.
Yep.
100% agree. Let's move on to the 102. Cameron, you are on the clock.
You said it. I know I said before CJ Stroud is my number one quarterback coming in, but fantasy wise, now looking at landing spots, I have to go with Anthony Richardson. Right, he has Jonathan Taylor, he has Michael Pittman, now Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. This is a guy who is just a freak athlete, and every time these guys are on the field, even if they have an awful year, they put up fantasy points. Anthony Richardson is a threat to run for 100 yards at least. Probably, I would be shocked if he's under 700 yards next season rushing. And so you just can't ignore that at the quarterback's position. It's just too much of a cheat code. And right, if we're at the 102, my team probably needs some help, so I'm going to swing for the fences. I'm going to take Anthony Richardson.
It's a swing for the fences pick. You are swinging to hit a home run. You're not swinging for a base hit, Derek Jeter style. Baseball reference with Bryce Young. Like, he is incredibly safe. Like, all hail the captain. Love Derek Jeter, but man, you're Aaron Judge. You're swinging for the fences with Anthony Richardson, with how dynamic of an athlete he is. Like, I don't know how he isn't. I do know how he isn't the quarterback one for some people in their rankings, but man, I just can't put it past him with how incredible of an athlete he is, and I refuse to believe Shane Steichen can't get the most out of Anthony Richardson. I'm just nervous if he starts right away and they just make him lose all confidence. That is probably the only thing I'm nervous about from a developmental perspective. I don't know what you're thinking, Ty, about that.
No, I think it's as simple as expect more rushing this year, and then down the road, the passing game will kind of catch up to Anthony Richardson. But it's as simple as get the rushing upside at a position where you're almost guaranteed points week in, week out. It's really as simple as that.
Couldn't agree more. Ty, you're on the clock now with the 103.
And my pick here is Bryce Young. What it really comes down to is just SuperFlex and just the premium that quarterbacks come at, and you get a guy like Bryce Young, number one pick, by far the best quarterback in this draft class right now. At least we could see if Anthony Richardson could be the best quarterback from this draft class, but right now Bryce Young goes into a really nice situation in Carolina. I will take the quarterback at the 103.
Yeah, Bryce Young is the best quarterback prospect in this class. I think we all agreed on that in our quarterback breakdown episode. Well, Cameron, you had CJ Stroud as your quarterback one, but you saw them as more of a 1A, 1B, which will actually segue me into my next pick because with my second pick, I am going to take CJ Stroud here. Look, he lands with the Texans. The Texans clearly invested the capital in him, second overall pick. And they went out to make sure to plant their ground and got Will Anderson Jr. with the third pick too. Like they're trying to build a franchise around this draft class specifically. Now, why they chose this one, I think could be debated. Wouldn't you rather wait for Drake May and Caleb Williams next year potentially? But not my decision making, not my organization. But to invest that kind of capital in CJ Stroud, he is the best pure passer in this class. I think he has shown more clutch traits than any other Ohio State quarterback we have seen. I have been outspoken on this podcast saying I don't believe in Ohio State quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, I think, has turned the tide on me a little bit, just because of how complete of a passer he is to land on a team that's going to be passing the football a lot this year. Let's not pretend the Houston Texans defense turned a lead overnight, let alone good. They're still a below average defense, even with adding Will Anderson Jr. So I think they're going to be in plenty of pass happy games where CJ Stroud is going to need to step up. I think this is probably how the first four picks are going to go in your rookie drafts. And maybe Bijan slides to the 102 after Anthony Richardson, or maybe Bijan slides around a little bit. But I think these are pretty much set as the first four picks in SuperFlex rookie drafts this year. Cameron, let's move on to you here. Oh, did you have thoughts you were going to add? I apologize.
I just wanted to say too, I've kind of given Houston crap before, but they have kind of built out a decent young core at the wide receiver position. Tank Dell, John Mechie, Robert Woods, Nico Collins. Not great by any means, but it's good enough that he can make something happen in Houston.
Yeah, it might be pulling teeth to make something happen, but but he's in a position where he's going to have to throw a lot. It will lead to fantasy points. How many fantasy points is yet to be seen.
Yep. All right, with the 106 or not 106, sorry. I was reading the
team 6.
105. For me right here before the draft, I would have gone JSN. Seeing though what the Lions invested into Jahmyr Gibbs, knowing that they would take him at the 106, I'm going to go Gibbs here. Ty said he's going to have a receiving role, which is great. PPR, half PPR. And I also think he's going to have a pretty good rushing role, right? David Montgomery's a good back. They invested a lot into him, but he's not an elite back, right? He's not a guy where he has to have all the touches. He's a guy where, we could see Gibbs having more rushing touches than David Montgomery and then getting most of the passing work, right? And I think even if Montgomery has more rushing work than Gibbs is still going to be a valuable fantasy asset, and that's why I would take him here at the 105.
Every day after the draft, I keep falling more in love with Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's hard not to.
I absolutely love his fit in this offense. Like, yes, he'll be running more routes. Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games. DeAndre Swift is gone. Bradley Stalder, friend of mine over on Twitter, he had posted, so what if Jahmyr Gibbs takes on the DeAndre Swift role, but without the obvious hate? And I'm like, yes. My response was, yes, if you loved Swift, you should be loving everything Jahmyr Gibbs has to offer this team. And that's, there's no other way of putting it. So yeah, I absolutely love Jahmyr Gibbs. I love him there. And Ty, I'll kick it over to you because I feel like your pick might wrap out maybe the obvious start to rookie mock drafts this year.
Yeah, this one comes down to 2 players. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba and Jordan Addison. In my opinion, I can see why people would be out on Addison because they may not buy into the talent. They may be a little scared of just who Jordan Addison is, being a 173-pound wide receiver. But I like the situation for Jordan Addison, but I think, if we look long term, this is where Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to separate himself, because over time, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to prove his worth. I've said it before on a podcast, and by the way, he's my pick here.
I was going to say, I'm like, you started making a case for Jordan Addison, and I'm like, there is no way you're about to pick Jordan Addison over JSN.
No. No, look, I've said on our wide receiver preview episode, Jackson Smith-Njigba has potential to be a league leader in receptions 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Now, granted, he is the wide receiver 3 now in Seattle behind Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, but Tyler Lockett is getting up there in age. It could be this year, could be the following year where we kind of see a dip from Tyler Lockett, and there's Jackson Smith-Njigba waiting in the wings. So I'm gonna take the guy who could potentially be a reception machine in Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, I am very glad you went JSN there, because if you would have gone Jordan Addison, I would have had to go on a tirade of why JSN is the better dynasty asset than Jordan Addison, despite immediate landing spot.
Look, there's nothing wrong with being a homer, but there is something wrong if you don't take JSN here.
No, JSN is going to be the next guy up in Seattle. I think he'll be like, he won't be as dynamic of a rookie asset immediately, but give him 2 years and he's going to be one of the better young up and coming wide receivers in the NFL as Tyler Lockett begins to diminish in his role in the Seattle Seahawks offense. This is where I think you begin to start making decisions, because I really like both Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnston. I think immediately when I watched the draft, Quentin Johnston caught a lot of flack, right? 3 wide receivers. It's the same thing as JSN, though, when you really think about it. JSN is the better receiver, but they're both in offenses that clearly have a 1A, a 1B, and they're kind of what? Now, I think the case then people start to make is, well, Jordan Addison should have been the pick for the Chargers instead of Quentin Johnston when you have Keenan Allen, who's big slot wide receiver. You have Mike Williams, who's a go up and get a guy yards after the catch, which is exactly what Quentin Johnston is. So it makes you wonder, are the Chargers going to put more faith into Mike Williams or Keenan Allen moving forward? Are they just parting ways in general? I am going to lean Jordan Addison here, though. I think playing opposite of Justin Jefferson is just going to be such a big benefactor for him. And this is still going to be a pass-happy offense under Kevin O'Connell. They're still going to throw the ball around a ton. You're going to have a guy who can actually take the top off the defense now. You're not waiting for 31-year-old Adam Thielen to get downfield. Jordan Addison, he's such a clean route runner. He is so smooth. I think he's a brilliant fit and a brilliant replacement for Adam Thielen in the Minnesota Vikings offense. I see good things for him in his future. It might not be year one, but it might be year 2, year 3 when we really start to see him come onto the scene as Justin Jefferson continues to flourish alongside TJ Hawkinson as well in this Minnesota Vikings offense. So I think that's where the draft truly begins. And I'll let you two throw your thoughts in as fellow Minnesota Vikings fans as well. I almost took QJ here. I can't let my bias seep through, but I mean, Jordan Addison is, I just think the fit in the situation suits him better than QJ's current situation.
Ty, I'll let you go first because then I can segue into my pick.
Oh, how about that? Pretty convenient. Look, if you are a believer in the talent of Quentin Johnston and not so much of Jordan Addison, then you go QJ. If you're a fan of Jordan Addison, then he's your pick here. I think it's really as simple as that, because for me, this is Jordan Addison 10 times out of 10, because I'm not a huge believer in Quentin Johnston, but I get some people are. So it really is just, who do you think is just going to have a better chance of succeeding in their systems?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I'm unfortunately, Ty, I'm not going to pass the favor to you. You made a great case for Lucas's pick. Lucas made a great case for my pick. I'm going to stop it here and make you make your own case. Yeah. But like Lucas was saying, he's going into a system, right? There's 3 wide receivers now. Well, Keenan Allen's old. Mike Williams can't stay healthy. This is a perfect kind of spot for this year. Maybe it's not as great as you're hoping, but next year for sure, they're not going to keep both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the roster. Then you factor in the fact that he is connected to Justin Herbert for the next 5 years. I think that's something that can't be overstated.
Yes.
And when you're looking at Jordan Addison, that's where it gets a little scary, right? This could be Kirk, and then who knows after this, right? That's where it gets a little scary. But for me, if I'm taking Quentin Johnston here, if I'm at the 107, right, I'm so happy with whoever falls to me here. I think this is really where there's a big cutoff of talent and mixed with landing spot. And so Quentin Johnston here is an easy pick for me because, like I was saying before, you connect Justin Herbert, and I believe in the talent of QJ.
Yeah, I connected to Herbert, I think, is the big thing you point out there, because both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams probably won't be around for the next 5 years. QJ will. He's going to end up being Justin Herbert's wide receiver 1 or 1B at some point over the next 5 years. I 100% agree with that assessment. Ty, over to you for the 109 here. After 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 3 quarterbacks have gone off the board.
I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. It's Dalton Kincaid. Okay. And this may be the shock so far, because it really comes down to Zay Flowers and Dalton Kincaid for me. The reason why I opt for Dalton Kincaid is because I like the situation that he goes into better than the situation that Zay Flowers is going into, where he's going to be battling, Zay Flowers is going to be battling for targets with Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Odell this year, maybe someone else down the road. Maybe it is Odell that signs an extension and stays. Dalton Kincaid, though, is being brought in to fill a specific need for the Bills offense, and that is a big target that Josh Allen can trust. Kind of like a Travis Kelce role in Kansas City for Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying it's going to be as good, but there's a reason why Buffalo went up and traded for Dalton Kincaid to get ahead of Dallas. It's because they have a vision of what they want their offense to be, and Dalton Kincaid is the big target in this offense. So I'm going to go with Dalton Kincaid over Zay Flowers here.
I kind of love it. I kind of not sure how I feel about it. I'm just going to give you my honest thoughts. I don't think it's too early for Kincaid. I think that's a fair case to be made. I just get worried that you're sitting on an investment with these tight ends that's not going to pay off for 3-4 years. But man, they're looking for a replacement at the slot position, and they went out and got Kincaid to do it. So I can't disagree with the pick. I don't know if it would have been my pick, but thankfully It is my pick. Cameron, did you have anything you wanted to add before I just go ahead and take Zay Flowers?
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's right. It's how much do you believe in him fully being integrated in the offense? If you're a full believer, then yeah, I definitely think you can justify it being in this offense. But I think I'm with you, Lucas. It feels like I would go Zay Flowers here, just because I do worry about the tight ends, but I do understand the pick as well.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make Zay Flowers my final pick in my top 4 picks here. I'm just going draft capital, baby. Let's not overthink it. Zay Flowers was drafted with the 22nd overall pick. Sometimes I think we just kind of overthink these things in rookie drafts where like last year you got Sky Moore, Christian Watson going ahead of John Dotson. Now Christian Watson ended up paying off, but sometimes I think people get a little bit too concerned about landing spot when in reality, we should just be looking at draft capital. And you mix that with talented. Zay Flowers is talented, right? You now put him with Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, who I think is a 1-year rental. Mark Andrews will still be there. Lamar Jackson just signed a long-term deal, right? I do like the landing spot for Zay Flowers. I think his talent will serve him just fine. They can pick up the 5th-year option on him. I do enjoy Zay Flowers in Baltimore. I think he could be a favorite of Lamar Jackson's for years to come. Like this feels a lot like Hollywood Brown 2.0. For them in this offense. And Hollywood didn't break out until his 3rd year in the league, I believe. That being said, I think Zay Flowers is pretty clearly the pick here. And now we start to see maybe a little bit of a talent disparity. And you even start to question like a Will Levis in here somewhere too. So Cameron, I'll kick it over to you to wrap out our first round here.
I'm going to go with Zach Charcuterie. Zach Charbonnet. I was trying to type when Ty was on live, Zach Charbonnet, and it autocorrected Charcuterie, and I just went with it. So that's his name now. He's going to stick with it. I was thinking about just the way this backfield is going to work, and I see it as a Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon mix, right? I think it's going to be probably as equal as you can get. It's going to be annoying, but they both do have top 20, maybe even top 15 potential. Because I do think this team's going to score a lot more touchdowns than that Denver team did with in Javonte Williams' first year. And so with that, right, if you're looking at running backs, just trying to get a top 20 running back out of what's left there, there's a couple of guys, maybe Devon A-Chain, Devon A-Chain with his draft capital could get it in a situation. Maybe, you're thinking maybe a couple of guys where Seattle went and made an investment on this guy. And if Pete Carroll's the coach, they're going to run the ball. That's who they are. Even with 3 wide receivers, even with Geno playing well, they're going to still continue to run the ball. And so I think he's going to get plenty of work. And he might end up being the pass catcher over Kenneth Walker in this situation, right? Walker has never really been a pass catcher. Charbonnet wasn't the, a world beater as a receiving back, but he was decent in his own right. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Charcuterie on this one.
Charcuterie. At some point we have to just realize Zach Charbonnet is talented. Be careful, make sure he sees the field. They wouldn't have spent the 53rd pick on him if they didn't believe that.
Yep.
He'll find the end zone. It sucks for Ken Walker. It sucks for both of them where their potential landing spots could be. Well, for Charbonnet, where his potential landing spot could have been, if not in Seattle sharing the backfield with Ken Walker. But you have to think if they spend that kind of capital on him, they're not just going to let him warm up a seat for Ken Walker.
Yep.
Exactly. I refuse to believe that. Tyler, why don't you bring us home here for the first round, and then we'll take a quick break.
Give me Devon A-Chain.
Yeah.
This pick is pretty interesting because I can make a case for 2 other guys. I can make a case for Michael Mayer, who finds a pretty advantageous situation in Vegas. I could also make a case for Jonathan Mingo, who was
who I thought you were going to go with.
Just the guy makes me happy. Okay, and he landed in one of the best spots. Got the draft capital to go with it. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Mingo, but I have to take Devon A-Chain in a high octane offense, who is one of the most perfect system fits for the Dolphins. I'm gonna take Devon A-Chain just because of the offense he's going into and his fit in the offense compared to Mingo and Michael Mayer.
For sure.
If we were talking about fits for Devon A-Chain in our rookie running back preview, and I know we said Kansas City would have been the dream. Man, you put him in Mike McDaniel's offense that just loves small speed, go find the hole, go. That is Devon A-Chain, man. Yeah, he ended up with one of the best landing spots out of all the running backs, I believe.
For sure.
Top 3 after Bijan, Jameer, and then Devon A-Chain, I would argue, got the next best landing spot. So I absolutely love that pick, Ty. We rounded out the first round here. Let's take a quick break here from our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is live and active. $15 million prize pool. Promo code FELLAS will get you 8 entries, $100 deposit bonus. So if you go deposit 100, they'll give you 100. That's 8 entries into Best Ball Mania 4, baby. Your chance at a $3 million first place prize. So we'll hear from our friends over at Underdog Fantasy, and we will wrap out the rest of our rookie mock draft. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Now, we love Underdog. It is the easiest place to play best ball formats, and they even have their own form of player props called Pick'em. You can make up to 20 times your money on a single night by correlating props together. 2 picks will triple your money, 3 will 6 times it, 4 will 10 times it, and 5 plays that all hit will multiply your entry by 20. You can even place insurance on your picks too, so if only 4 of your 5 props hit, you still get 10 times your entry. And if you use our code FELLAS when signing up, Underdog is going to double your first deposit up to $100. Alrighty, we are back. We're going to round out the next 2 rounds of our rookie mock draft here. We're going to keep this thing moving because, frankly, we could sit here and explain why we love all these players, but we're already like 30 minutes in. So we're going to keep this sucker clicking. We're going to make sure we fly through this and not waste too much of your time. I am on the clock here. First pick in the second round. Here's the deal. I'm torn. Ty, you brought up both of the guys I want to pick right now. It's either Jonathan Mingo or Michael Mayer for me. Michael Mayer's the pick. I'm in love with Michael Mayer, man, from a football perspective. This Notre Dame offense was not good last year, yet they kept feeding Michael Mayer the ball, and he made things happen for them. Now you stick him in the Las Vegas Raiders offense, who shipped off Darren Waller, who is playing in a Mike McDaniel system. I hate all the mini Gronks, the tiny Gronk comparisons. It's stupid. Stop doing it. But Michael Mayer is going to play a Gronk-like role. He can block. He can go out. He has great ball skills. Like, I think he fits this offense extremely well. I think he'll probably end up being a favorite target of Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not expecting massive things year 1, right? Again, like, tight ends take at least 1 year to get acclimated into the NFL. Year 2 is when they take their leap. And I think Michael Mayer is set up to do that extremely well in the Raiders system with Mike McDaniel. And if Jimmy Garoppolo hangs out for the duration of his contract, I don't mind that quarterback situation there for Michael Mayer. So he is my pick there with the first pick in the second round. Cameron, how about you with the second pick in the second round? Who are you thinking?
I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to take Will Levis here.
Yeah.
I am a believer, slightly, not like 100% in Will Levis. I really think that could burn me down the road, right? But I do think he is going to get the opportunity to start in Tennessee probably this season, right? Unless Tannehill wins the starting job and starts out like 7-0, I would assume we see Will Levis pretty early on. Even though he wasn't taken in the first round, even though he slid, Tennessee did trade up right away to go get him, right? They wasted no time on day 2 getting him with the second pick, or second or third pick in the round. I don't remember off the top of my head. Second pick, 33.
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to start. Obviously, it's not a great offense right now, but as long as Derrick Henry's on there, that does give you a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of a safety net, because you could hand it to him 35 times a game and still put up 2 touchdowns because they bite on the play fake twice. So I do think that helps a little bit. And I would just, Tennessee's got to add people down the road. It's not going to be Treylon Burks and Westbrook, whatever his name is.
Westbrook Akine.
There you go. Forever. So I'm going to take him here with it being SuperFlex and me believing 73% in his talent.
Yeah, I mean, the slide of Will Levis was going to stop it. Tyler goes who I think he's going to go with here. The slide of Will Levis would have stopped with my next pick. So I 100% agree. Ty, I think I know who your next pick's going to be. You brought him up earlier, unless if you're going to go ahead and shock me and the world here.
Cam did me a solid here.
Yeah,
and
he
he
did.
made my pick
really
really easy. And I'm so happy to take Jonathan Mingo here with this pick. He's probably a year out from real solid production, but he immediately goes into this offense as the wide receiver 3 behind Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. It's pretty advantageous. You got a declining Adam Thielen. You got a 1-year rental. I shouldn't say rental, but it's a 1-year deal between the Panthers and DJ Chark. So who knows if DJ Chark stays after this year? There's a world where Jonathan Mingo could find himself as the wide receiver 1 within 2-3 years of this offense. I'm gonna go Mingo here.
Yeah, if you didn't pick him, he was going to be my next pick. I absolutely love Jonathan Mingo. Again, he got the capital, man. 39th overall. Carolina went out and got their young, big body after the catch guy. I absolutely love Mingo in Carolina. I think him and Bryce Young could be a nice little duo for years to come. I don't want to speak too highly on Mingo, just to not set unreal expectations. That's more so the purpose. But with my next pick, I am going to go wide receiver as well. I brought his name up earlier. I'm going to go Josh Downs here. I just love the fit in Indianapolis. I think he'll be able to overtake Isaiah McKenzie, who did sign with the Colts this offseason. I think he'll be able to take Isaiah McKenzie out of that role. And even if they ease him into the role, he's going to be a safety blanket favorite of Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew, whoever is there. I think he just fits really well. He chatted with Colts legend Reggie Wayne, who said, "I want you on my squad," prior to the draft. That's all I need to hear. They're going to make sure Josh Downs gets his usage, and Shane Steichen shouldn't have a problem with that. So, yeah, I will go Josh Downs. Cameron, you are on the clock. Who's your next pick after going Will Levis with your previous pick?
This is where I really start to struggle. I'm going to be honest. I just think you can go so many different ways. I'm going to take a real flyer here. I like this guy. I'm going to go Jalen Hyatt. I understand, there was still wide receivers drafted ahead of him, but New York does not have a true number 1. And it's so ambiguous there that he could come in with his speed and just win that job. And I don't even think he has to really wow them to be a wide receiver 2 or better in that offense moving forward. Obviously, they have Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley, who aren't wide receivers, but I do think Hyatt comes in and has a role relatively early. And I also believe that he can be a successful wide receiver. So I'm going to go Hyatt.
I do. I think Hyatt's a perfectly fine pick there. They just have an assortment of weapons to feed Daniel Jones now. Mm-hmm. I'm really curious to see how that all shakes out. But Jalen Hyatt could find himself as a nice, deep a field stretcher in that Giants offense. Tyler, over to you. Who is your next pick after Jonathan Mingo?
There is a player here that I also really, really like just because of talent and situation. But I have to go with one of my guys again. I'm going Tank Bigsby here, okay? And I know that he's going to be behind Travis Etienne, but it is a known fact that Doug Peterson uses multiple running backs in his system. And it was even something that came up last year that Doug Peterson came out and said, we want to give or get JaMycal Hasty more touches. What? You're willing to give JaMycal Hasty more touches, which is all the reasoning I need or I needed for Jacksonville going out and getting Tank Bigsby in the draft. So I like his situation. I know people are going to go, well, he's got ETN. I know. But Bigsby will get something, and I'm going to take my odds on that.
Yeah, I like Tank Bigsby. I think he did end up with a perfectly fine landing spot. He's not going to overtake Travis Etienne. Wherever he ended up, he wasn't going to overtake the starter, but he's going to get work around the goal line. Tank Bigsby is going to score touchdowns this year. I would be willing to bet on it. Travis Etienne, only 5 rushing touchdowns last year. I don't think they want to use him around the goal line. That's a great Tank Bigsby spot if you ask me. So for my next pick, I'm torn here. There's 2 guys that I'm debating between. I think I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to take Roschon Johnson here. I just like the situation in Chicago, where I think it's easy to overtake Deonta Foreman. I think you have a pretty good shot overtaking Khalil Herbert as much as that dude's got juice. I just really like Roschon Johnson. Yeah, he sat behind Bijan, but sitting behind Bijan and sit behind Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman are two totally different things. So I think Roschon Johnson has a chance to like take over this backfield potentially. I don't think it'll be right away, but if we're looking next year, like Roschon Johnson might be the lead back in Chicago, and that's something that I think I'm willing to take a chance on at this point in the draft. Cameron, it looks like based on your reaction, I sniped your pick there. So I'm going to make you think a little bit on who your next pick is going to be.
I'm going to do something that I've told people not to do, and that's take a flyer on a Chiefs wide receiver. I'm going to go Rashee Rice.
Yes, that's who I was debating between my last pick.
And I've seen a couple tweets, right? Chiefs wide receivers will do really well if their name is Tyreek Hill in this offense. And obviously Rashee Rice's name is not Tyreek Hill, and he is not quite Tyreek Hill, but they did invest a second round pick. I know they invested decent capital in Sky Moore last year as well, but if it hits here, you're at the 207, you're not getting a for sure starter anyways. And if Rashee Rice hits with Patrick Mahomes, you have something super dynamic. Travis Kelce is getting older. And so I just right now is kind of when I'm going to take that flyer on Rashee Rice.
Yeah, at the 207, I think that's totally fine. The hit rate on second round wide receivers is typically low. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think it's fine to take Rashee Rice here after making the mistake many people did on Sky Moore last year.
Yep.
Ty, I'll kick it over to you here. You went with your guy, Tank Bigsby, with your last pick. Who are you thinking here?
This comes down to two players for me. It comes down to Kendre Miller, who the Saints just use a third-round pick on, and the argument there is draft capital.
Yep.
I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. I'm going to go Zach Evans.
Ooh.
And I know that Evans went in the 6th round to the Rams, and Cam Akers had one of the best finishes to last season of all running backs. I mean, he was the leading rusher in the league over the last 5 weeks of the season. I'm not sold, though, that Cam Akers has like completely won over his job. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Zach Evans get some work this year, and maybe eventually the Rams move on from Cam Akers just because of the headache that he's been for him so far, which then means that Zach Evans is the lead back because they clearly don't show faith. They don't have any faith in Kyron Williams. Mm-hmm. So I like I said, I'm gonna take a risk here. Zach Evans, that's my pick.
I kind of don't hate it. He's so intriguing to me, just based on the landing spot and the other guys who are there.
Yep.
Yeah, he is fascinating to me. I am going to take Kendre Miller, though, the guy who you talked about having third round draft capital. I heard people already say, like, oh, here he comes for Kamara. Like, okay, did we just forget about Jamal Williams, too, who signed a 1-year deal there? Like, I don't think this is like not a this year pick that you're making with Kendre Miller. Like, it is a guy who I think probably could end up being like the running back one, the Saints backfield, if they don't take somebody else in the near future. But Kendre Miller was somebody I was really excited about prior to the draft process. So I'm happy to get him here with my last pick in the second round. I think he'll end up having a nice little role for himself should Alvin Kamara start his suspension at some point during the season. I'm totally fine with Kendre Miller here. I actually really like that pick after Roschon Johnson. So, Cameron, back to you. Rashee Rice was your last pick. Who are you thinking here now?
I'm going to go Tyjae Spears. He was also another third-round draft pick, and there's already been rumblings this year about Derrick Henry moving on. He's going to be 29 this year, 30 next year. So it's hard to see them continually being able to commit to him as much as they have. He will be second on the depth chart. And so for a team that loves to run the ball, obviously you have Derrick Henry, so that changes a lot. But I still think that's part of who the Titans' identity is going to be moving forward, even after Henry moves on. I would take Spears here. There was the report that came out that he has no ACL. But let's be honest, running backs at this point in the NFL are short-term anyways. So it's not like, okay, I lose a year off of him. I still would take that chance that he could be the starter in Tennessee. Probably not this year, but hopefully next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance the wheels fall off of Derrick Henry. He suffers another injury. I'd never want to wish injury upon a player, but we're just getting to that point with Derrick Henry where it's like anything, literally anything could happen. He could be done tomorrow. Yes. he could go for 2,000 yards this year. Anything could happen. So yeah, I would gladly take his insurance there as well.
Yep.
Ty, you went a little spicy with Zach Evans. Round up the second round here. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go spicy again. I'm going to go Jaden Reed, the wide receiver from Green Bay.
I like it.
And the thing with this pick is that, like, I don't really know how Jaden Reed's going to fit into this offense. But Green Bay clearly has a plan for Jaden Reed after they spent a second-round pick on Jaden Reed. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to try to buy some time here because he may have been like a top 6 receiver taken in this draft class. Don't quote me on that, but that he might have been. Let me.
What pick was he at?
He was the second round. He was right after Mingo. He was the 6th receiver taken in this draft class. Ahead of Rashee Rice, ahead of Marvin Mims, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs. There is intrigue from Green Bay side in Jaden Reed. That to me means they have a plan for him. I don't know what that plan is, but I'm gonna take a chance on it.
Yeah, if Jaden Reed wasn't going to go there, that's the exact argument I was going to make for him with my next pick. Is that a guy with that capital? Green Bay has made pretty good success with second round wide receivers. Jordy Nelson was one. Devontae Adams was one. Correct? He wasn't a third round pick, was he? Someone should fact check me on that. But you get Christian Watson last year. You get Jaden Reed now this year. Like, they've had a pretty good hit rate on second round wide receivers. So that was going to be the argument I made if Jaden Reed did not go there. Fellas, to wrap up the third round, I vote we try and keep it a little bit more rapid fire here. Get people out. Yeah. We don't need to hear us talk about these guys forever. I can't believe I'm about to do this. He seems untouchable. I don't know, man. I'm going to take the shot on Kayshon Boutte. Get him in Bill Belichick system. No BS, no shenanigans. Like, the talent might be gone, man, but you know what? If there's a system that Kayshon Boutte should have fallen into to make sure he gets his act together and puts his nose to the grind to get the best out of him, it's going to be a Bill Belichick team. He's going to take no BS. Like anybody else in this round, I feel like I'm just taking a shot in the dark on. They're going to end up being cut from my team. You know what? I'm still going to take the shot here on Kayshon Boutte, landing on the right team, getting a shot in a Bill Belichick system that does need help at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I like that pick. For my next pick, I am going to go with Tank Dell. I personally think he probably should have gone earlier just because he is a second round pick going into we talked about the Texans wide receivers earlier for CJ Stroud. There is no alpha guy. And I don't think Tank Dell's going to be an alpha guy by any means. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But he could definitely step up and be the most successful receiver in that, in the wide receiver room there, because there isn't that player who's going to step forward and just take control. I guess Mechie could, but he's taking a year off. So I'm going to go Tank Dell there.
Yeah, I don't hate Tank Dell there. Now that I think about it, I probably should have taken Tank Dell instead of Kayshon Boutte. But again, at this rate, we're throwing darts at wide receivers in the third round who have a very low hit rate, success rate. So Ty, I'll kick it over to you. Who is going to be your first pick in the third round?
Oh, this is a tough one. I could go a multitude of ways. I'm going to go Sam Laporta here.
Oh, you suck, man.
That was my next one.
That was my next pick. That was my next
guys. Pick. Look, Detroit doesn't have any other tight end besides a guy named Brock Wright, who's definitely not going to be the starter. It's definitely going to be Sam Laporta. Now, the tight end argument, right? Like, you're going to be waiting on production for at least a year or two with tight ends. Absolutely, it makes absolute sense for Sam Laporta, but again, there's just no one there, and no Jameson Williams for the first 6 games of the season. Maybe something happens. I don't know, but I think for a third round pick, Sam Laporta fits the bill pretty well.
Yeah. Sam Laporta, like, we look at it, 1 tight end in the first round, 1 at the start of the second round, and now 1 in the third. Like, I think probably like that is the ideal time to grab someone like a Sam Laporta in your rookie drafts. Kincaid's going to go high. Mayer is going to be a crapshoot on where he goes. I probably might have even drafted him a little bit too early, but yeah, Sam Laporta, I think that's a great pick in the third round on him. I'm just going to keep throwing darts. Look, there's, man, you know what? There's like 5 guys I still want to draft just because I want to talk about them. I feel like the responsible thing to do here. Again, we're throwing darts.
Responsible.
I'm going to take Chase Brown. I'm going to take Chase Brown. Not because I like the draft capital. This is a pure landing spot. Joe Mixon. Who knows? Apparently, the Bengals are going to keep him around, I guess. We don't know if he's going to be suspended. We have no freaking clue. If he is, all of a sudden Chase Brown is the lead guy. Like, I might have just drafted a starting running back in the third round of a rookie draft. So, yeah, I'll take the shot on Chase Brown there. There's a few other guys I like, but I just feel like it'd be the irresponsible thing to not take a potential RB1 in the third round of a rookie draft. I don't want to like overhype him or anything, but like that's just the logic. And Cameron, it looks like I sniped you again. So hopefully you had a plan B.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marvin Mims here, another second round wide receiver. I like the talent of Marvin Mims coming in, but it's gonna be tough in Denver, right? They didn't look amazing last year, and then you got Jerry Jeudy, who was just they picked up the 5th-year option on Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. They both just signed big contracts, whatever, 2 years ago now. So it's, he's probably 4th on the depth chart, but you got to imagine if they're picking him up, Tim Patrick's probably not all the way back, ready to go, right? He's an older player. He tore his ACL. They probably don't love Cortland Sutton. There was rumors he might be moved earlier. So I'm going to take the chance that Mims finds a decent role in the next 2 years in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real chance he overtakes a KJ Hamler. He might even give Tim Patrick a run for his money. Cortland Sutton, like, he's not all that. Like, like Mims could carve himself out a role in this offense. Ty, I'll kick it over to you. Sniped Cameron and I on Sam Laporta. Who are you going with next?
I'm going to go with a later round guy. And kind of the similar thought process that I had with Zach Evans of just kind of like, let's just see what happens. Maybe it plays out in this guy's favor, maybe not. I'm going to go DeWayne McBride.
Yep.
Who knows what the Vikings do with Dalvin Cook? I know Alexander Mattison just signed a 2-year deal. Let's just see what happens. That's just kind of my thoughts on DeWayne McBride.
Yeah, he is a sneaky, interesting one because Dalvin Cook could be traded. Alexander Mattison isn't going to hang around forever. DeWayne McBride, he's got some burst, man. The fact the Vikings got him in the 7th round, I was very surprised by. To see what will happen. Kind of a guy. I agree with that thought process there. I'm gonna take a guy I really like. I sneaky like Puka Nacua, man. I sneaky like Puka Nacua. Second pass catcher in this offense after Cooper Kupp. Second wide receiver in this offense after Cooper Kupp. Ben Skoranek?
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson? Yeah, whatever. Puka Nacua, man. I love the landing spot. I mean, we're talking 6'1", 205. I love the size. I love the athleticism of Puka Nacua. It's a late round guy. Again, I'm throwing darts here. Just a guy I like, and I would rather take guys that I know I'm going to like instead of trying to predict perfect landing spot or like who's going to get the most snaps. Like, I don't think that's predictable at this point in the third round. So I'll take Puka Nacua, who I think is actually fairly unpredictable going into next season in terms of what his production could be. I like the talent a lot, though.
Yeah. I am going to go wide receiver as well. My third one of the third round. I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman.
Yep. I was debating between him too.
Another third round pick. Obviously, they just traded for Elijah Moore. Amari Cooper is definitely the one. They also have DPJ on the team. But this team is investing even more into Deshaun Watson, into getting him going. And Elijah Moore is no sure thing, right? We liked him on the Jets for that little bit of that little stretch he had. Then he disappears last year. Browns go get him, but there is no sure thing that he's puts it all together again. So I'd take Cedric Tillman here. Maybe he ends up with a wide receiver 2 spot, but like you said, I mean, it's a dart throw at this point. We're end of the third, so he's a guy I'm willing to do that with.
And I really do like Cedric Tillman too. Again, I like part of me just I know some of these other guys are going to get picked, so I just want to talk about the guys I want to talk about. But I really do like Cedric Tillman in the third round capital he got as well. Tyler, your third round pick after DeWayne McBride.
I got to do it. Give me itty baby boy.
Deuce.
Give me Deuce. Give me Deuce.
Deuce. He was going to be my next pick. I just wanted to scream Deuce.
I again, he's a 6th-round rookie. He's kind of a size anomaly. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out for Deuce Vaughn, but I'm a big Deuce Vaughn guy. I'll take a shot on him.
I absolutely love Deuce, man. I want him to succeed in Dallas. Hyper talented. I don't think he actually chips into Pollard's workload all that much, but he might be fun to watch next year if he gets on the field. I'm incredibly excited for that. There's a lot of guys I could go with here. Admittedly, I didn't think you were going to take Deuce Vaughn there, Ty. So I was like full out ready to make Deuce my last pick. So here's the thing: I'm looking between Luke Musgrave, mostly because he'll probably slide into the starting tight end role for the Green Bay Packers. You look at a guy like A.T. Perry, who I actually really like. Again, I absolutely love the size, 6'5", 205. Could use someone like him across the field from Chris Olave. I think I said 6'5", 205, and I talked myself into A.T. Perry here. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for all the guys who aren't the 5'8", 175, 180 guys in this class. And again, the New Orleans Saints don't have that big up possession, go up and get one possession wide receiver on this team. So I think A.T. Perry has a chance to carve himself out a nice little role in New Orleans. We'll see if he lands a spot on the roster there. But yeah, a lot of different options there. I think I'll keep taking dart throws on some of these wide receivers, though.
I am going to finish up by going with Israel Abanikanda. Did I even say that right?
Oh, you nailed it. You nailed it.
I'm so proud of myself. Right, goes to the Jets. I feel like he's going to be the running back over Michael Carter. Should Breece Hall need more time? Should he get injured again? Right, that will be a high value backup role on a team where I do think they're going to try to establish a run and play defense, even with Aaron Rodgers there. So he was a guy me and Lucas were both pretty high on coming into the draft, and so just hoping he gets a chance to show his talent. And it was also rumored that the Jets were looking at Jahmyr Gibbs at 15 should he have been there.
Wild.
So they could be looking to incorporate more, or taking some of the pressure off of Breece Hall and kind of letting him be more of a split backfield.
Yeah, Ty, you can wrap out the first round here. The third round here at the final pick in our rookie mock draft. Who are you going to go with?
Sean Tucker is right in front of me, but he's not who I'm going with, just because I can't convince myself to take a guy in the third round that was an undrafted free agent. And I know I just can't convince myself to do it. So I am going to go with Michael Wilson, the wide receiver from the Arizona Cardinals. He was a third round pick, and a lot of people, I should say, when I say people, I mean a lot of draft analysts were saying Michael Wilson was someone that could have gone higher had he not had injury history and coming from a bad offense in Stanford. He's a lot of people said he's a Stephon Diggs in the sense of uber talented, did not have the dominoes fall his way in college. Maybe it all turns around for him in the pros, especially with the DeAndre Hopkins situation, where it doesn't seem likely that he's going to move on, but Hopkins is getting up in age. So their new trio wide receivers eventually could look Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, and Michael Wilson. For a third round flyer, I'll take that.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit there. Again, the third round draft capital says something. It's not the entire story, but it says something. Just a few quick names that got left off. Darnell Washington. That's just a miserable landing spot in Pittsburgh. They basically drafted another O-lineman. Can we just be honest?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Again, Luke Musgrave, I brought up his name. Hendon Hooker was still on the board. Stetson Bennett got drafted by the Rams. That's an intriguing one to me with Matt Stafford on the way out. I don't know if I think I'm too chicken on Stetson Bennett. I'm not too gung-ho on his talent translating to the NFL. Luke Schoonmaker as well, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. He could find himself in a starting role. Just a few of the names that did get left off. Is there anybody that I missed that deserves an honorable mention as well?
I would like to say Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones is nice. Yeah.
He is probably going to be the Tyler Boyd replacement for Cincinnati, and Tyler Boyd has been relevant for the past couple of years, so there's some intrigue there.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I do like Charlie Jones. Well, there you have it. 2023 rookie mock draft in the books for you all. Hopefully you got to enjoy us breaking down some of your favorite rookie prospects, how you can expect the draft to potentially go in your SuperFlex rookie mock drafts this year. Obviously, if it's a one quarterback, the quarterbacks definitely shake up the landscape a little bit more in terms of Anthony Richardson will probably still go at the end of the first round, just not at the 102, right? So best of luck to you all in your rookie mock drafts this year. We'll be back next week. We're going to bring you our early rankings on all of the positions. We'll be back with quarterbacks and running backs next week. Until then, keep diving into those rookie rankings. Keep preparing yourself for your rookie mock drafts. We'll be back with early rankings next week. We'll see you all then. Deuces.
Deuces.